Have you ever thought about which part of the speech a speaker should prepare first? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Jason Hewlett, Hall of Fame speaker. Thanks for joining me. Here we go. When it comes to the first part of the speech that you should prepare, I love to talk just about the fact that you need to be prepared. Step number one is truly be prepared. When we think about our own speech, I want you to consider for yourself the fact that you could get up there and wing it. You could do something that maybe you've tried before and it worked okay, but the power of preparation is where it's at. The most important part of the speech to prepare, however, is certainly the first part of the speech and the theme under which you're speaking. So, for example, if you get a theme from the event planner and they say, we need you to speak about this, or you're speaking at church and they give you a topic, plan it around the theme. Work on that first and then start to work on the introduction, because the introduction is where it's at. A lot of speakers might tell you that it's important to do your very best story first, but from what I've understood through the years, doing the best story last is the best place for that. I would say maybe take your second or third best story as the first story to share. It's really cool to stand on stage and make a joke or to do something different, maybe share a quote. Those are cool, and those are good and effective ways. Even asking a question is a great way to engage the audience. But when it comes to standing on a stage, if you crank right into a great story, the audience will be with you right away. And so when you come to preparing your speech, consider preparing it around the theme and the topic first, and then the beginning of the speech. The next thing I like to recommend is that you should ask some questions of the audience. You should also make a promise to the audience. I like to say that when we make a promise to our audience, they'll understand and expect where we're headed, and then we can keep that promise to them. So I might say something to the effect of, I promise you today you're going to be entertained and educated and walk away with something you can share with your teams. Then they're thinking, okay, cool, we'll see if he's really that entertaining. And then I start singing and they're like, whoa, that was better than I thought. That's a cool place to be in. Asking a really powerful question is also a good place to start. And so what I like to ask is, hey, have you ever been to a concert where the artist didn't keep the promise and sing the song you expected to hear? And everybody goes, yeah, I know that one. And then I'll tell the story of when I went to a concert with Billy Joel. He played 39 top 40 hits and didn't play the Piano Man. And the Piano Man didn't play the Piano Man. It's a very interesting story, and it actually ties into my closer. When it comes to the first parts of the speech, what you prepare obviously is important, because if you ask a question like that, it engages the audience, but then you're also considering for the audience, what's in it for me? The audience needs to understand why they should listen to you. Yes, it's nice that you're the expert. Maybe you're a celebrity. Maybe you've done incredible things nobody else can do in the whole world, but when it comes to the question, what's in it for me? Why should I listen to this speaker? The audience has to be able to answer that while you speak. So those are some things to consider preparing first as you speak. I also like to make the suggestion that if you're giving a presentation on Zoom or in person, wherever it might be, in your communication, you want to make it so that everybody understands that you have come prepared, that you have a message, that you're within the theme. Because what if the theme is something absolutely different than the message you prepared? Then people are going to be disappointed. So make sure that you know what they want you to speak about. On Zoom, this is really interesting because let's say you're in a meeting with a bunch of other people that you work with. If you don't come prepared with the message around the theme, man, you could get in big trouble. And so make sure that you're prepared in that way as well. Let's talk about structuring the body and organization of your speech. So I've made the suggestion that yes, you need to work on the theme. You need to make sure that you know the beginning of the speech and share a story or a question. But now let's talk about the body of the speech. So I like to reference this from a guy named Lou Heckler, who's been one of my speaker coaches, and I recommend him to everybody. Lou Heckler is a genius. I remember the first time he told me this idea. He said, how about 3 points in a poem? 3 points and a poem. I love that, because in essence, you can just share 3 things that you're passionate about, end with a poem, and be out. However, there's more to a speech than that. Thinking about the organization and structure of your speech is so essential. And one of the reasons that I speak about what I do is because there are so many ways in which it ties into life itself. So in my keynote speech, I speak about your leadership promise. I love the word promise because it's such a strong word. And I can promise the audience they're going to receive certain things that I'm going to speak about. And at the same time, they're also going to understand better how to keep promises in their life. But I've structured it so that the promise has 3 elements that I'm going to speak about in my presentation. So in essence, 3 points in a poem. So I talk about the promise to the audience first, the promise to the family second, the promise to the one, which is yourself, Third, the promise to the audience is essentially the promise that you make to your clients and your customers. The promise to the family is the promise to the people you work with, so they're your work family, and then the promise to the people at your home family. And finally, the third promise is the promise to the one, which is you. And so I say, we kept promises to everybody else. What about ourselves? These are all really great ways to structure a speech. I have 3 points that I'm going to make sure to hit on, and then I have an overarching message. Now, I can keep the promise, I can share poems and so forth within it. What happens under this structure is, let's say I have an hour-long speech. I have maybe 5 minutes for my intro, I have maybe 5 minutes for the outro, and then I have all of that extra time, 50 minutes in between, to be able to structure my speech this way. And so when I'm putting my speech together, these are some of the first things I work on. I'll go to the audience portion first. What is the promise to the audience? And what I do is I'll anchor it with a powerful story. So I'll put in there a story that they will not forget, that's powerful, that's awesome, that's funny. And then I'll maybe put in a quote. Maybe some facts. I'm just slowly building this nice structure for the speech so that I can keep on track and make sure the audience is with me as well. I also add something that's a bit unique, and you don't need to worry about this if it's not your style, but for me, I like to add music. I like to sing within the presentation. So in the intro of my presentation, I'm delivering the promise, I'm sharing a quick story, and I'm asking a question, but I'm also then doing some music. That sets me apart from a lot of speakers, and there are ways that every speaker has signature moves that make them different. For me, when I go into the audience portion, then the family portion, then the promise to the one portion, each of those have an anchor story, quotations, or quotes that people love, as well as some facts and figures that make it so that everybody goes, wow, that was a nice structure to that speech. Finally, you have to consider crafting your conclusion. The conclusion is the last thing they're going to remember or see you do on stage. This is a really essential part of your speech as well. We've talked about what's the first most important part of the speech, but these are all important. If you leave them wanting less, that's a problem. If you want to leave them wanting more, then you've created a great speech. With a great conclusion, that leaves them entertained, inspired, ready to change something, standing ovation. That's awesome, right? And so how you craft and create your conclusion really matters. One of the best ways that I've done this is through a powerful story, and usually it's my best story. I don't share the best story at the beginning because I think to myself, if I can tell the second or third best story I have, then they're going to go bonkers over the final story and the final piece of my presentation. A lot of what I do is comedy and music based, and so I usually also close with something funny and then something musical. All of these things make me a speaker that people go, man, that was entertaining and fun, and I get a standing ovation. That's cool. I'm glad though that I first prepared all the other things that I've been talking about in this video, and I hope that it's been helpful to you as well. So when you think about what makes you unique, and you think about for yourself, where should I start with my speech? Hopefully I've given you some good ideas today, and here's what I want to give you as a way to make it so that you can become an even better speaker and do it right away. You see, you need to know what your signature moves are. Unfortunately, so many speakers try to be like everyone else, and that's a problem. We need people that are unique. We need you to share your gifts, your talents, your skills that only you have. Otherwise, you're breaking the promise to the world that only you can keep. And so I created for you a way to identify, clarify, and magnify your signature moves. Once you've done that, then you can truly create unforgettable speech. So I hope that you'll go to jasonhewlett.com/ICM. When you go to jasonhewlett.com/ICM, you'll get a worksheet, which is an assessment form essentially, that allows you to go through identify, clarify, and magnify, and figure out for yourself what your signature moves are. Once you know what those are, you're going to become a most powerful speaker. And I look forward to you preparing the first thing first when you do your next speech. And I hope that as you're checking out all the videos on this channel, I wanted to tell you also about another video that I made specifically that could really help you in your career as a speaker as well. It's called What is the Best Way to Practice a Speech? Go find that video, go like it, watch it, and you'll see your ability to be a great speaker change dramatically.